Your contractor just billed 800,000 pesos. But how do you know if that's accurate? If you don't know how to audit it, you could be overpaying without realizing it. And this happens a lot. Sometimes contractors do it intentionally. Sometimes they do it because of poor record keeping. But the truth is, it's still your money. You deserve a clear explanation. So even if you're not a quantity surveyor, you should still know how to spot red flags when you see them. And this is important, whether you're paying in progress, billings, or you're paying the final bill. Let me explain. Overbilling happens all the time. So whether you're an architect, engineer, project manager, or a homeowner, you should understand how to verify your contractor's bills. It's usually one of the most overlooked aspects of construction, but it doesn't have to be complicated. We'll go over what to look out for and what documents you can request from your contractor to make sure you're not overpaying. So let's start by talking about why auditing your bills matters. The first reason is to protect yourself from overpayment. That might sound obvious, but it's worth emphasizing. You work hard for your money. Your contractor works hard to earn their money. But if there are errors or discrepancies, you want to know about them so you can correct them. The second reason is to build trust with your contractor. This may sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. When you show your contractor that you're taking an interest in their invoices, that you are re-verifying the line items, and that you are re-asking questions about anything you do understand, your contractor will appreciate it. In fact, they should expect it. And those actions will demonstrate your commitment to the project. And that will lead to better cooperation and collaboration. After all, if you want to develop a long-term relationship with your contractor, then this is how you do it. And now let's talk about some of the common reasons why contractors overbill. First is human error. This can happen even to the best of us. Maybe a typo was made or a calculation was wrong. And sometimes it is intentional, like a contractor inflating their prices so they can bill more than they should. That's less common, but it does happen, so you should keep an eye out for it. Then there's incomplete or unclear records. This is probably the most common cause of overbilling. Maybe the contractor didn't take measurements, so they billed an estimated quantity instead of the actual quantity. Or maybe they didn't document the change orders properly. Whatever the reason, this is something you want to avoid. So how do you do it? Well, in a moment, I'll tell you exactly what to look out for. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation where you suspected your contractor of overbilling, but you were unsure what to do about it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story. Let's dive into common billing. Red flags. So here are 5 things to watch out for. No. 1 is progress billing without measurement backup. Now, progress billing is when you pay your contractor based on the percentage of work completed, rather than the actual quantities measured. And this is usually done in the early stages of the project. When it's hard to measure exact quantities, however, this can be a red flag if your contractor is not providing any measurement backup. Instead, they've just telling you that they've completed 30% of the work, and they want 30% of the payment. And that doesn't make sense, because you can't verify that claim. A simple solution is to request detailed measurements whenever you receive a progress billing. That way you can check if the reported quantities are correct. Red flag no. 2 is materials charged but not delivered. This is when your contractor bills you for materials that have not yet been delivered to the site. And this can happen for several reasons. Maybe your contractor is ordering the materials, but you haven't approved the purchase. Or maybe the materials have been delivered, but you haven't inspected them yet. Either way, this is a red flag, because it means that your contractor is trying to get paid for something that you have not yet received. It's important to clarify that it's okay to pay for materials before they re-delivered to the site, but only if you've reviewed the purchase order and approved it. Otherwise, you run the risk of being overcharged or receiving the wrong materials. Red flag no. 3 is items billed twice. This is a pretty obvious one. If you see the same item listed multiple times on your invoice, that means there is a mistake somewhere and you want to pay for the same thing twice. For example, if your contractor bills you for carpentry works and then lists the same carpentry works again in another section, you know that there's a mistake. Red flag no. 4 is lump sum entries with no breakdown. A lump sum entry is when your contractor bills you for a group of items without providing a breakdown of the individual costs. For example, they might list a lump sum entry for 50,000 pesos for all the electrical works, but not break down the cost of each item. And that's a problem because you can't check the individual costs. You don't know if the price for each item is reasonable or not. If you see lump sum entries on your invoice, ask your contractor to provide a detailed breakdown of the costs so you can verify each item individually. Red flag? No. 5 is advance payments without milestones. An advance payment is when you pay your contractor a certain amount before they start working. That's different from a progress payment, which is paid after the contractor completes a certain milestone. And that's an important distinction because with an advance payment, your contractor gets the money before they do any work, and that means they could use the money for something else. And that's why it's important to set milestones for your contractor to reach. Before they get paid, That way you know what they need to do before they get the next payment. These are just some of the most common red flags to watch out for. Of course, there are many others, and we'll cover them in future videos. But if you're interested in learning more about contractor billing, there's a link to a playlist in the description below. Now let's talk about how to verify your contractor's bills. There are 3 things you can do to make sure you're not being overcharged. The first is request site photos with date stamps. Date-stamped photos are a great way to track progress and make sure work is being done as planned. For example, if your contractor says they've completed 30% of the concrete works, ask for photos with date stamps to confirm. If they don't have any photos, that's a red flag. If they do have photos, make sure the dates are recent and that the work shown in the photos matches what they re-reporting. The second thing you can do is request an updated BOC with actual % completion. This is a simple way to track progress and make sure your contractor is being paid for the actual work they've done. For example, if your contractor bills you for 100 cubic meters of concrete at 1,000 pesos per cubic meter, you can easily check if they've used up all 100 cubic meters or if they're trying to charge you for more than they've actually used. The third thing you can do is request materials delivery. These are official documents that show when materials were delivered to your site, and they're a great way to make sure your contractor is getting paid for the right materials. If your contractor bills you for materials that have not yet been delivered, you can check the delivery receipts to confirm. If your contractor refuses to provide any of these documents, then that's a major red flag and you should stop payment immediately. And now let's talk about something that will help you avoid overpayments from the start. Get your contractor to sign a variation order before doing any work. A variation order is a document that outlines any changes to the original scope of work. For example, if your contractor wants to make a change to the design or add new features, get them to document the changes in a variation order and sign it before they do the work. That way you have a record of the changes and you can track the additional costs. Another tip is to look at the running total versus the contract amount. This is especially important when you're paying progress billings. Make sure the running total does not exceed the contract amount. If it does, then there's a problem somewhere and you need to fix it. As an owner, you don't need to be a QS to catch these red flags. By following these tips, you can make sure you're paying your contractor the right amount and avoid costly mistakes. Finally, we'll share a free resource that will help you audit your contractor's bills. Our team has created a contractor billing audit sheet that simplifies the process for non-technical owners. It's a free download on our website. Just click the link in the description below and you can download the spreadsheet. It includes checklists and instructions to help you verify your contractor's bills. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more helpful content.